Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back one more time to Wheel Takes, a podcast that oftentimes is about the Wheel of Time, but today it's about the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, a novel written by the one and only Suzanne Collins. I am Gus. I am a first-time reader of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
And I'm Allie, and I'm also a first-time reader of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
This is a new experiment for us. This is the first time neither of us has read the book as we discuss through it. And we're going to see how this goes. I think it's going to be fun, but different. Normally, if you've listened to our other stuff...
That's how people describe me. Fun, but different.
Normally, if you've listened to our other stuff, one of us has read the series, the other has not. So this is an exciting adventure. But believe it or not, Allie, before we start, there's someone we have to thank.
Who?
Normally, we don't do patron shout-outs in the side series podcast unless they're specifically requested. But Haley C., who jumped up to Bubbly, requested that her second shout-out be sent in a Hunger Games episode for her sister, Aubrey May M.
Aubrey May M., just like a glorious morning. Just like out of Hocus Pocus. It makes me sick. No.
It's a good
movie.
But
you don't make me sick, Aubrey May M. You are colorful. You light up our world and make it a better place just by being in it. You make our days... literally, but also figuratively. You are promising. You have a lot of talents. You have a lot of abilities. You have so much to you that, and so many gifts to give the world. And you're also dewy. You got dewy skin, Aubrey May. You've got skin where people go, oh my God, give me it. You're gorgeous. You just got that shiny glow about you that, you know, they're trying to bottle and sell to women. And you just have that naturally just by being alive. And for that, we thank you. And thank you for being a part of this community.
Yeah, so thanks, Haley. And thanks, Aubrey May. You're super cool.
You're both sisters. We love sisters on this podcast.
Now, that having been said, this is totally uncharted ground for us because this is a new book for us. And neither of us has read the book. I've already said that. I'm just going to keep saying it because I'm still getting used to it. Are we going to call it TBOSAS or TBOSAS? People have been wondering how we're going to pronounce the abbreviation.
I like TBOSAS.
I like TBOSAS as well.
There's sass in it.
Yeah.
Sassy.
Yeah. I have been thinking of it as TBOSAS, but TBOSAS works.
TBOSAS is a little easier. It flows off the tongue better.
It does.
You know what? I think we're allowed to figure it out in the moment.
TBOSAS. Yeah.
Whatever feels right in the moment.
TBOSAS? No, that doesn't feel right because it's TB. TBOSAS.
TBOSAS.
I don't know.
No, I'm going with either TBOSAS or TBOSAS.
Or we'll just call it Ballad. That might also happen.
I've been saying TBOSAS.
I've been saying TBOSAS.
But I like TBOSAS.
What comes out will come out.
Yeah.
The truth will out.
Whatever
and the truth is TBOSAS.
The moment feels like. All right.
Yeah.
Gus,
yes.
do you have notes for us?
We both do, right? We both took
Who
notes.
wants to go first?
So this episode...
Should we rock, paper, scissors?
Wait. This episode of the podcast only contains spoilers for what we've read already, which is everything up to... We read 5 chapters, right? We read this a little bit ago.
We have read 5 chapters,
the first 5 chapters of TBOSAS.
TBOSAS.
We both have notes. So, I mean, before we get into notes, like, what have we been expecting? What were we expecting going into this?
Well... considering it was a prequel novel, all I knew about it was about Coriolanus and like an early rendition of the Hunger Games and kind of like how we got to where what it becomes. Yeah. And that's kind of all I knew about it. I've been having a good time.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I just knew that it was about snow.
Well, as much as you can have a good time reading about
anything,
that
happens with Panem.
Yeah,
I knew
authoritarian
Snow,
hellscapes.
And I knew that his first name was Coriolanus because I looked it up and I was put down to summary judgment on the internet for Googling the name of the book.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Cheater.
But how you liking it so far?
I'm liking it. I feel like, it feels much like the Hunger Games trilogy, but giving us a very different perspective. Of course, she's giving us those classic protagonist beats of like, we got to start with suffering, increase the suffering, introduce two bad choices, those kinds of things that give us that classic protagonist look. But he's definitely an antagonistic protagonist, right?
Yeah, it's fucking Snow. I mean, he's still facilitating the Hunger Games.
Right. But he has no power at this point.
No, he really doesn't, right? He's like, his family is on the verge of poverty.
Yeah, I mean, I
Probably
think...
like, by the capital standards, he is in poverty. He's eating cabbage.
Yeah, I mean, his tummy grumbles when he sees the buffet that's out for the assembly or whatever that they have. Yeah, he's having a rough go, which doesn't excuse his later behavior. But what I think is interesting, which will be interesting going forward, is Suzanne Collins exploring the line of like, sometimes circumstances cause people to do horrific things.
Yes.
But also making sure that that doesn't give them a pass for that. Like, life circumstances introduces difficult decisions, and sometimes you make really horrific decisions in the wake of that. But like, that doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to see how she walks that line. I trust Suzanne Collins to land the plane. I think it's interesting. What year did this book come out? Can we look?
Like last year. I think it just came out. Because when we bought it, we could only get a hardcover.
In how much the current circumstances of the world have factored into
2020
creation of, wow. I'm interested to see how that might have, I mean, not really. It was that's 3 years.
I thought it was last year.
Yeah, but I am interested to think about like just why she felt like she needed to write this now.
Yeah, it is kind of...
So many years later.
I did wonder, why did she come back to this series after over a decade?
Yeah, why did she feel like, with the given circumstances, that she needed to look at why people make horrific decisions and why people become these despots?
Yeah. Although I'm fairly sure this is going to be limited in time scope to just this one games, but I fully expect by the end of this, we will see very clearly the path that leads Corey to becoming Snow.
I've come up with a very different nickname for him, but you will find out what it is.
Well, I started calling him Corey in my notes.
They call him Coreo.
And then they started calling him Coreo, but I was just calling him Corey.
I was like, Suzanne Collins was like, I'm not typing
out.
Lafo, listen and find out.
Do you want to rock, paper, scissors for...
who goes first?
Who goes first on notes?
Well, I feel like yes, but okay, ready?
Yeah. What do you mean, rock, paper, scissors, shoot, or just rock, paper, scissors? And is it one or best out of 3?
Oh my God, rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Best of 3?
No, not best of 3. Whoever wins first.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We tied. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We tied. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We tied. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh my God, we tied again.
Oh my God. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I win.
Oh, okay, she got me.
Jesus. Get out of my head.
So you're going first?
This is marriage. You combine brains during the ceremony. No one tells you that.
It's very eldritch.
Uh-huh. Okay, chapter 1. Do I read all of them or just
read chapter 1? We'll talk chapter 1.
Coriolanus, ew. Was not happy about it.
No.
Maybe next chapter will be someone else's POV.
No.
Right, Suze?
No.
Right? I twitch. District scum, starting out with class.
Yeah, we're really, really kicking it hard.
Tigress is Snow's cousin. Interesting. So how did she end up working with the Resistance?
Yeah, that was cool.
I'm sure they won't tell us.
No, definitely.
And is her theme song Eye of the Tiger?
Oh, God.
I'm not typing Coriolanus every time I need to type Coriolanus. From now on, he will be referred to by the nickname Corey. No. What am I thinking of? Henceforth, he will be known as Anus.
Anus, great. He deserves this.
Every Corey who listens to this podcast just breathed the biggest sigh of relief now.
I'm calling him Corey, so don't breathe too quick.
Anus was 5 when the war started. Suze is giving us a timeline. She's also giving us Anus in a slightly sympathetic starting position.
He is, yeah.
Because we have to somewhat want to read about him. I sense a complex villain arc.
Does this book not feel a little bit like Would You Shoot Teenage Hitler?
It does feel like
that. A little bit.
Suze loves things like Trolley Problem, Would You Shoot Teenage Hitler, that kind of stuff.
She's big into moral quandary. You took a lot more notes than I did. Y'all are going to be disappointed as fuck by my notes.
I don't think so. Nothing like a little brainwashing the kids. Better off sad than dead. Oh, Suze, how we missed you. Protect our land with armored hand. You know it's fascism because it's a fact that fascism lacks subtlety and writes terrible lyrics.
It's
10 out
true.
of 10, Suze.
We should have known, honestly. And by the way, this is going to also have spoilers for the main Hunger Games books.
Like, have you ever noticed fascist art sucks?
That is not universally true because fascist propaganda is extremely effective.
Yeah, but the songs are not bops.
No, they're not. But their propaganda artists are usually very good at what they do.
That's true. That's true. I shouldn't generalize.
Which is how they get away with so many things.
Fuck, it sucks. As if controlling one element of his world would keep him from ruin. It was a bad habit that blinded him to the other things that could harm him. A tendency toward obsession was hardwired into his brain and would likely be his undoing if he couldn't learn to outsmart it. Have you ever foreshadowed your own life? Apparently his nickname is Choreo. Suze also didn't want to keep typing that name, huh?
No, it's a long name.
Well, I prefer Anus. Snow lands on top. We get it. We get it. You're a top.
No, he's not.
Somebody's name was High Bottom. And I went, High Bottom, huh? That's your last name?
All
Rough.
right. What do we got? I have like 8 notes. Okay. Damn. Rags to riches for Corey here, I guess. Then I wrote, this anthem sucks.
We both agree the anthem sucks.
It's bad.
But I feel like she did that on purpose. She made the anthem not a bop.
My cabbages.
Uh-huh.
It's an Avatar
I got,
reference.
yep.
Tigress, fancy meeting you here. July 4th. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
I feel like this is kind of a wild idea. What if this is a commentary on things that were happening in America? Just a thought. Just a question.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like how she was clear that Panem is like post-apocalyptic America in the main trilogy. And now she's just really, really, really driving that home.
She's like, in case you didn't get it the first time, this is about America.
It's a far future America.
Yeah.
Right. My notes disappeared. Rose count 1.
Mm-hmm.
They just fight to the death in a football stadium, huh? Because the early Hunger Games
somehow sucked worse.
Somehow were worse because it was basically just rounding up and
they
shooting.
Don't feed any of the people when they come in, and
yeah, it's just like dump the kids. It's Colosseum. It is simply basic Colosseum fighting, but with children.
Yeah, it's like you don't even have a fighting chance.
And then I wrote, "Ha, get fucked, Snow," which will be how.
Yeah, I'm
feel.
like, is Snow going to be like, I actually made the Hunger Games not as terrible.
I mean, they're still bad. In fact, I feel like they're worse. They're
well,
worse.
It's like, is it worse? Worse in some ways.
Worse in some ways, better because it's at the end of the day, all of them are going to die but one anyway.
Well, also the bad thing is that it sounds like they were kind of like, I don't know, do we really still need to do this? This is kind of rubbing us all the wrong way. And Corey is like, I can make it really cool.
Let's make it television.
So I don't know if that's better.
Yeah.
I mean, the tributes certainly get treated better as they're coming in, and they make it somewhat more fair to the people who are like smaller and whatever.
Yeah, but I feel like making it a commercialized thing is much worse.
Well, it's giving like we're fattening the calves for the slaughter.
Yeah, it's
not great.
It's false celebrity, and I feel like in this situation, the winners probably just went home deeply traumatized.
Probably.
But I have to imagine that like the tradition of parading around the victor and all this other shit was not as much of a thing when it was just like 24 kids killing each other in a football field.
Yeah. Ugh.
Really fucked.
Just fucked all around.
It also like, why
Hot
did they call
take.
them the Hunger Games at that point?
Hot take. The Hunger Games is
Bad.
bad.
It's bad. You want to talk about these quotations she put at the top?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So we've got one from Leviathan, and we've got one from Locke's Second Treatise of Government. And then there are 3 other ones, but I feel like those are the ones we should talk about
I will
first.
be honest with you. I did not read them.
Oh, you didn't?
No. So inform me.
Well,
Wait.
I cracked this fucker open, and the first thing that I see is a quote from Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan, and I was like, oh, fuck, okay.
Everyone who listens to Hot Nuance Book Club knows that I don't read things in italics.
Oh, that's fair.
And I don't know why that's true about me.
Well, are you familiar with Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan at all?
No.
It is a political theory book, essentially, from the 17th century. And I read a bunch of it in college for a political theory class, and I'm going to get some stuff wrong. But as I recall, it essentially posits a global political theory that is the base state of a person is conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Peace is not natural, and you should expect that everybody else is trying to kill you, therefore act accordingly.
Right.
It's a very, I forgot the name for this. God damn it.
Everyone's trying to kill you, so you should act accordingly.
It's like it's a treatise on, it's not like an individual treatise, but it's a treatise on international relations, essentially, which states that each nation state must not assume that any other nation state wants anything beneficial for its neighbors. Sounds
healthy.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, it's called realism, I believe. The two main
I prefer optimism.
Yeah.
I don't know. I prefer to be surprised by people's shittiness, because I feel like the more I'm expecting people to be shitty, I mean, just expecting people to be shitty just is a shitty outlook. It just doesn't feel nice.
Yeah. Realism essentially states that world politics, I'm looking at Wikipedia, is always and necessarily a field of conflict among actors pursuing wealth and power. And the counter theory to that is liberalism. And liberalism argues that international institutions should exist and nation states ought to and trend towards and should trend towards cooperation and mutual aid, essentially.
I like that better.
Yeah. So the fact that she opened with a quote from Leviathan, which, as I recall, is like the realism handbook.
Well, it seems like Corey, I know what Camp Anus sits in. You know what I mean?
So the quote goes, "Hereby it is manifest that during the time men live without a common power to keep them all in awe, they are in that condition which is called war, and such a war as is of every man against every man." So they're saying essentially, maybe I had it backwards, but they're saying essentially that unless there is a greater power to compel you not to kill your neighbor, assume that your neighbor is trying to kill you and act accordingly.
That just sounds a little paranoid to me, but...
And then, yeah, Locke, I think Locke was a liberalist political theorist. And the second quote is from John Locke's Second Treatise of Government, and it reads, "The state of nature has a law of nature to govern it, which obliges everyone, and reason, which is that law, teaches all mankind who will but consult it, that being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions."
Seems like opposite theories?
Kind of, yeah. I think Leviathan is more of a realist treatise, and Second Treatise of Government is more of a liberalist treatise.
Uh-huh.
And then the third one is Rousseau. I don't know shit about Rousseau. But the quotation is, "Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains."
Sure.
And then there's a Wordsworth quote, "Sweet is the lore which nature brings. Our meddling intellect misshapes the beauteous forms of things. We murder to dissect."
That's good.
Which appears to posit that the base state is peace, but mankind's intervention
violent.
is war.
Yeah. Well, and there is some truth to that in some ways. Like, sometimes it feels like the more we meddle, the more we muddle.
Yeah, well, it's like you're reading the book about animal senses, and there's that whole thing about how
unaware we are of other animals' umvelts.
Yeah, umvelt being like the frame of cognizance that they have. But like, as an example, light pollution, which we don't think of as pollution, really fucks up the
migratory patterns of certain birds.
The state of being, the natural order of a lot of animals.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think, it's kind of about how our limited scope, we really just have like a slice of the sensory pie, and we're very unaware of other animals and their sensory needs. And so we often will arrange things toward what's best for our sensory experience at the sometimes disadvantage to other species.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really interesting book.
What's it called?
An Immense World by Ed Young.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
It's very good.
It's interesting, not just in a like,
Ed Young.
how we're fucking things up, but just like there's cool facts about animals on every page.
Yeah.
But,
it's not all
it's not all doom and gloom.
Humanity sucks. And I don't think the purpose of this quote is like we're fucking up nature and animals, but I do think it's like we go against the natural order by being.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're the animals with sentience, and I saw John Green, I think, said, or Hank Green, one of the Greens said, sentient raccoons wouldn't be doing any better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sentient dolphins wouldn't be doing any better. Truly.
And then the last one is from Frankenstein, from Mary Shelley.
Ooh.
I thought of the promise of virtues which he had displayed on the opening of his existence, and the subsequent blight of all kindly feeling by the loathing and scorn which his protectors had manifested towards him.
It's interesting that they're putting in Mary Shelley there because so much, I mean, she's really kind of one of the mothers of horror as a genre.
Oh my, and like also science fiction.
And she did it all at like fucking 19, which is crazy.
Also, fun fact.
She's like a teenager.
She wrote this at like
on a bet.
Well, kind of like it was on a weekend where it got rained out.
Yeah.
And apparently a big part of the reason why everyone decided they would write books in their rooms is because Byron was there.
Yes, Byron was there.
Byron was being unrepentantly horny at everybody, and they were like, oh my God, I just got to get away from him. I'm going to go create a genre.
I thought that there was some kind of like contest that they did also.
I think
where they were like,
true.
Whoever writes the best book in the like over the weekend or however long or the week or however long they were staying wins, and she won.
That's probably true. I think was Wordsworth there
too? There's a bunch of freaking.
It was a lot. Like it was a huge weekend for literature.
Yeah, and she was just there.
All thanks to Byron being ridiculously horny.
Sounds like Byron, but there's so much of horror that revolves around like what mankind does, or like mankind overstepping and fucking around and finding out.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like scientific advancement and things like that. So anyway, I just think that's an interesting inclusion.
Well, and I think it's also about, again, the concept of natural state versus created state of being, right?
Right.
Because she's saying that the monster was created and was like, oh, everything is great. I love doing nice things. I'm happy and I have virtues. And then everybody else treated him like shit.
Right.
So he became a monster.
Yeah, we're definitely going to lean into the, like, maybe monsters aren't born.
They're made, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting
series
set
of quotes.
Of 5, like, big fucking quotes. Big fucking quotations. Not like big as in they're meaningful, but they are. But also just large block quotations.
Yeah, Suzanne was like, I'm gonna drop my thesis.
Really, yeah.
In these quotes.
Definitely important to look at as we start. And before we get into chapter 1 of part 1, which is called The Mentor, we're going to take a little ad break. All right.
Who's reading, me or you?
Well, I talked heavily about and read the epigraphs. So why don't you do chapter 1 and then we can swap off?
All right, sounds good.
It's weird because I feel like we're both trying to figure out what to say because it's different.
I know, I like it.
Yeah, I like chapter 1.
Chapter 1, Gus.
It was good.
Coriolanus released the fistful of cabbage into the pot of boiling water and swore that one day it would never pass his lips again.
Hey, man, cabbage is delish. No, it's not.
Instead, poison will. Yeah, fuck. Because, he was, like, giving himself small.
Yeah, it was, like, microdosing on
poison.
Yeah.
He needed to eat a large bowl of the anemic stuff and drink every drop of broth to prevent his stomach from growling during the reaping ceremony.
Now, do we want to go through this, like, reading passage by passage, or just pull out the stuff that stood out to us?
Traditionally, we do passage by passage.
Not always.
Well, I just wanted to get the start of the book.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I'm feeling
listen, I'm thinking about structure too much. You go ahead. Please continue.
I feel like we're winging it. This is the difference between me and
I
you,
hate
which I
winging
love.
it.
You hate winging it.
It's my
and
least favorite
I love
thing.
winging it, and I feel like that makes a really good couple.
Yes.
One of you has to hate winging it.
I hate
One of you has to
winging it.
love
If I don't
winging
have
it.
a plan that is firmly set and has been tested 9 or 10 times, I'm miserable. I'm not miserable. I'm joking. I'm. It's horrible. It's terrible. I'm having a wonderful time. You know the drill.
I've never planned a damn thing in my life, and I stand by that. It was one of a long list of precautions he took to mask the fact that his family, despite residing in the penthouse of the capital's most opulent apartment building, was as poor as district scum. Nice.
Really, we're really jumping right in with the
starting
classism.
out with the classism. Super cute look. We love that. That at 18, the heir to the once great house of Snow had nothing to live on but his wits. So he's all worried about like what he's going to wear.
Yeah, because it is reaping day, right? We start out on reaping day.
It's reaping day.
And I remember there being a whole lot of emphasis put on his appearance.
Yes, he's very fastidious. But they don't have a lot of money, obviously, because Snow's father had a bunch of mines or something like that in District 13. He had like a bunch of shit.
They were weapons dealers.
Right. But he had like a bunch of factories in District 13 that got exploded to shit.
Well, captured and taken away from him by the rebels because their primary stake was in District 13.
But Snow doesn't know that part.
Oh, yes.
So the assumption is, that they just got taken away from him and destroyed or repurposed.
Do they not know that they don't know? That's
they
not
don't
common.
know.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. It didn't seem like they knew.
That makes sense. It wouldn't be common knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I've written my bingo list at this point. I know you haven't.
See. Yes, I have to do that still.
I have a thing about that. Spoilers. But Tigris took his shirt that he was all worried about and was like, "Trust me, I've got this." Yeah, because usually he has a uniform that the academy provides, but
right, there's this whole thing with the shirt. He's boiling the shirt, right?
She did. She ends up boiling the shirt.
She boiled not the cabbage water,
the
of course not
color.
The cabbage water, and it's like cream colored. And then he gets called out on that a little bit later.
Yeah,
but he covers for it really well.
But yeah, he's supposed to dress super fashionably.
Yes, because it's a big day, and because he's poor as shit, but he can't acknowledge that he's poor as shit because status and class.
Yeah, it was his father's shirt from better days, but it was stained and yellowed with age, half the buttons missing, a cigarette burn on the cuff. Too damaged to sell in even the worst of times, and this was to be his reaping shirt.
A bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But also, fuck this guy. But we feel bad for him right now.
Tigris still hasn't.
But we kind of do.
Given him the shirt, and so he's all freaked out because it's like the day of the reaping.
Oh, and there's all this stuff with his grandmother singing. What did you think of this anthem?
Oh, first,
yeah,
his description of Tigris. With her long, pointed nose and skinny body, Tigris was no great beauty, but she had a sweetness, a vulnerability that invited abuse. Fuck.
That sounds like the capital to me, yeah.
Damn. Yeah. He's worried that she's doing desperate things to get him close, basically, which is not awesome. No. And then meanwhile his grandma's singing the capital anthem, the Gen of Panem.
It's such a shitty song.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
And she's painfully off key.
Yeah, she can't sing for shit, but she's deeply, deeply patriotic.
Yeah, it's Gem of Panem, mighty city, through the ages you shine anew.
Now, I thought you didn't read things that were in italics.
It was so shitty so short that I stopped and read it. We humbly kneel to your ideal and pledge our love to you. What is this rhyme scheme?
It's fascism.
Wait. It's A, B, C, D, D, C.
Is it a rhyme scheme or is it just go?
It's kind of just go, but there's some rhyming because it's Gem of Panem, mighty city, through the ages you shine anew. We humbly kneel to your ideal. So that rhymes. And pledge our love to you. So anew and you rhyme.
No. You got... This is one line. Gem of Panem, mighty city, through the ages you shine anew. We humbly kneel to your ideal and pledge our love to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's A, B, C.
No. Gem of Panem is not the A line.
What is the A line?
This whole thing, it's...
The whole thing is the A
Gem
line?
of Panem, mighty city is A, and then B is through the ages shines anew, and then C is humbly kneel to your ideal, and then B again is and pledge our love to... This is terrible. I can't make any sense out of this.
No, it's... you're so wrong. The rhyme scheme is absolute ass.
Mighty city cannot be a full line of a song. I mean, it can be, but no.
To your ideal is 3 syllables.
What?
Yeah, but there is a comma there, so that's a line break.
To your ideal is 4 syllables.
Well, I wasn't counting.
Are we going to get in a fight over what a syllable is again?
It's whenever you clap.
See, we were talking about the word shield.
That's 1
I understand
syllable.
that, but to me, I hear it as shield.
That's 1 syllable.
All right.
Gem of Panem, heart of justice, wisdom crowns your marble brow. So even still, they broke the rhyme scheme at the end. Regardless of whether or not you or I are right, there's no B at the end. This is ass.
But it doesn't have to rhyme.
It's a song.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's an anthem.
Sure.
I mean, I guess our anthem doesn't really rhyme that much, right? Well, the chorus does. Wait.
Say, can you see it?
Oh, say, can you see it? By the dawn's early right, with so proudly we hail, and the last gleaming, through by stripes and by stripes, through the perilous fight, or the ramparts we walked, so gallantly streaming. But then it goes, and the rockets red blare.
Well, that's a bridge.
The bombs bursting in air.
That's a bridge.
Well, that's what I said. I said I meant the bridge, not the chorus.
Well, the bridge changes. Yeah, the bridge is a different structure.
Well, I'm just saying, this anthem's ass.
Yeah.
It's not even good. The first year of the war, she'd played the recording on national holidays for 5-year-old Coriolanus and 8-year-old Tigris in order to build their sense of patriotism. Nothing like a little, brainwashing.
We love it.
We love it. The daily recital hadn't begun until that black day when the district rebels had surrounded the capital, cutting it off from supplies for the remaining 2 years of the war. "Remember, children," she'd say, "we are but besieged. We have not surrendered." Then she would warble the anthem out of the penthouse window as the bombs rained down.
Real fun.
Oh, Meemaw. Classic Meemaw behavior.
Grandmam, right? They call her Grandmam.
That sounds like some of my grandma's bullshit.
No, but that's what they call her.
I know. I'm saying that sounds like you know what my grandma tried to do when I was a kid? She didn't want to be called grandma or any other grandma-esque nickname. So then she insisted that we call her Taunt.
Oh, God, no. French for aunt?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
No. What the fuck?
Isn't that classic her behavior?
That's so fucking... No. What the fuck? Absolutely not.
Guess which grandma? My mom's mom or my dad's mom?
It was absolutely your dad's mom.
Yeah, it was 100%. I mean, both of them are nightmares, but different kinds of nightmares. It's like their own brands.
Lovely though. But
Rest in peace. All right.
So she's back. They do the whole thing with the shirt.
So yeah, so they do.
He yells snow. What is it? Snow's on top or some bullshit.
Well, wait. First, they talk about how their house used to be really, really nice. And then through the war, they had to sell stuff off and burn furniture and books to keep warm.
Yeah, the war went badly for them.
Including ones that his mother had read him. Having been in his friends' apartments, Coriolanus knew that most families had begun to repair their homes, but the Snows could not even afford a few yards of linen for a new shirt. He thought of his classmates rifling through their closets or slipping into their newly tailored coats, and wondered just how long he could keep up appearances. Oh, there's more to the song.
We're not doing it. We're not. No, absolutely not. It's no.
If Tigris's revamped shirt was unwearable, what was he to do? Fake the flu and call in sick? Spineless. Soldier through in his uniform shirt? Disrespectful. Squeeze into the red button-down that he'd outgrown 2 years ago? Poor. Acceptable option? None of the above.
Yeah, it's between a rock and a hard place here.
Tigris works for a woman named Fabricia Whatnot.
The names, and you know what? The more names I hear, the more normal Katniss Water Potato Everdeen sounds. What was that name? We'll read that again.
Fabricia Whatnot.
Fabricia Whatnot? That is a Roald Dahl name.
Yeah.
That is a Dr. Seuss ass name.
That's who Tigris works for.
Fabricia Whatnot? Whatnot?
Yeah, Whatnot.
I love this.
Not much of a student, Tigress had forgone university when she graduated from the academy to pursue her dream of becoming a designer. And so she's like an apprentice, but Fabricio basically like barely pays her. But Tigress is just like excited to be there. And Snow thinks about the fact that trash is even a luxury, that like once upon a time they couldn't really afford to waste anything, but now it's coming back in style.
What a way to word that.
Yeah, for real. I like this line. A tendency toward obsession was hardwired into his brain and would likely be his undoing if he couldn't learn to outsmart it. Just feels ironic considering.
Yeah, a lot of foreshadowing in here.
Yeah, there's tons. And there's tons of like moments where I was like, oh, this is the beginning of this tradition. How awful.
Now,
Oh, and his grandmother constantly talks about when he's going to be president. She says it all the time.
Yes, she's really laying it on thick there.
And she talks all the time about how they used to be so rich and famous and, you know, incredible as a family, and that he's going to bring it back. No pressure at all.
Casual.
So his communications professor, Satyria
Click, right?
Yeah, Satyria Click.
Yeah.
Campaigned for him to receive one of the 24 coveted mentorships in the Hunger Games.
He's about to get fucking snubbed to shit.
Right?
But actually, he's going to get a good one because what is her? I forgot her. Lucy Gray?
Yes.
Lucy Gray Baird?
Yeah.
Yeah. She seems fun.
I like her.
I like her a lot.
She seems like she doesn't give a fuck, and I like that.
There are so many parallels between her and Katniss that I can already feel, except that she is more into being a persona.
Yeah.
I feel like. She's
got much more of a performance background, I feel. And I feel like she has a little bit more of a like don't give a fuck than Katniss does. Like Katniss gives every fuck all the time.
Yeah. That's
why I identify with her so hard. Like she just gives all the fucks all the time and is a little intense. But also a little naive. And I feel like Lucy is not naive.
No, I don't think so. I think she's very with it.
Lucy's not naive. She causes a lot of trouble. But there are a lot of parallels in that she like kind of sticks out and isn't afraid to go against the grain. Like Katniss, I feel.
Well, she explicitly makes a point to go against the grain. She does a musical performance. You probably didn't read it because it's in italics, but she sings a whole song.
No, I'm trying to reform. I'm trying to do this. But yeah, but Snow is Satyria Click's favorite student. But he's like, she's a little unpredictable, especially when she's drinking, and she probably will today because of the reaping.
Yes.
If he failed to show, would she allow them to replace him as mentor? And if she did, would that weaken his chance for one of the Academy prizes presented at graduation? Without such a prize, he had no way to afford going to university, which means no career, which meant no future. Which meant no career, which meant no future. Not for him. And who knew what would happen to his family? And wow, that's a lot of pressure at 18.
Well, you know, unfortunately, there are also parallels between Katniss and Snow. Mm-hmm. Except where Katniss is preoccupied with her and her sister's survival, Snow is preoccupied with retaining, you know, glory. Well, the question is not if Snow is going to die. The question is whether or not he's going to be in poverty, which is bad. But, you know, Katniss's baseline is essentially poverty.
Right. I feel like, to me, there's also some Gale correlations, too.
With Snow?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, their starting place in life-ish. I mean, district versus capital, but still, like the immense amount of pressure that they have on them to support a family. You know, their like unfortunate pragmatism. Mm-hmm. All of that. So Tigress comes with the shirt, and they say Snow lands on top.
See, now the first time I heard that, I thought that's the stupidest phrase I've ever heard.
It feels like it's purposefully so stupid.
But also, I realize it is the point that snow, when snow falls, remains on top of whatever it lands on. Mm-hmm. So I realize now that actually had intent to it. I thought it was just like, we are number one.
I think it's both.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's both. But, you know, I thought it was just like, Snow's awesome. Hell yeah. Snow team.
Well, he says it was the saying that had gotten them through the war, when it was a constant struggle not to be ground into the earth.
That's good.
Yeah. So I feel like it's something that makes them feel better. Mm-hmm. But
Well, ground into the earth, snow is over the dirt.
yeah, like we'll land on top.
Yeah.
You will come out of this okay.
Yeah.
But it is also so dumb. But I feel like it's purposeful, you know?
Well, yeah, but again, I understand the impetus for the metaphor. Not even metaphor, the impetus for the saying, not just being we're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tigress had basically changed everything about the shirt and it looks really good.
Yeah. Although they can still tell it got boiled, right? Somebody gives them shit, as I recall.
Yeah.
It's not Sejanus. Sejanus, is that how we're going to pronounce it? Plinth?
Yeah, I think it's Sejanus.
Sejanus seems pretty chill. Which
otherwise it'd be Sejanus?
Well, it's Sejanus maybe, because it's the god, I think, is
Sejanus.
How do you pronounce that god's name?
Do we want to look up the pronunciation?
Because Sejanus was a real guy.
Dying while we're talking.
Sejanus.
Okay.
According to this YouTube video, the historical name would have been Sejanus. So he and Coriolanus can be anus buddies.
The anus boys. The anus brothers.
Anus twins. Yeah.
Go anus.
Oh boy. Incredible.
Okay.
Sejanus. God damn it.
Snow looks at himself in the mirror. He thinks about how he's not as tall as he should have been, like many people in his generation.
Oh, yeah, because they were malnourished.
Yeah, that'll do it. And he whispers to himself, Coriolanus Snow, future president of Pan Am, I salute you.
Look at him with his affirmations. But also, fuck this guy. Because we know where he goes. I'm going to try to give him a fair shake within the confines of this book, but, you know, it's hard.
Oh, and his grandmother gives him a flower, a
rose,
and
yeah.
And he reaches out to
Rose
grab
count.
it. Should we have a rose count going?
Yeah, it's one.
And it pricks him. Blood welled from the wound, and he held his hand out to keep it from staining his precious shirt. His grandmother seemed perplexed. I only wanted you to look elegant. Of course you did, grandma'am. And so he shall. So yeah, so she bandages him up and he's all annoyed with his grandmother, but it's fine. His front door opened onto the Corso, an avenue so wide that 8 chariots had comfortably ridden side by side on it in the old days when the capital had put on displays of military pomp for the crowds. Coriolanus could remember hanging out of the apartment windows as a young child, party guests bragging that they had front row seats to the parades. Then the bombers arrived, and for a long time his block was impassable. So I have to wonder if that contributed to the opening ceremonies where they're all on chariots, because it feels like Olanus really worked really kind of took things from his youth and from his experiences in this and applied them to games going forward.
This is very much a very boomer Christmas. This is I should clarify what I mean by that. Oftentimes it feels as though most of the sort of commercialized thrust of what Christmas time is, at least stateside here, is just sort of an attempt to recreate the childhood Christmas of people who were alive in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it feels like Snow, perhaps down the line, is paralleling the games to what he remembered from the good old days as a kid.
Yeah. I feel like there's some of that for sure. So I was wondering if the chariot thing made its way into the Hunger Games. 10 years after the victory, and he was dodging between chunks of marble and granite as he wove his way to the academy. Sometimes Coriolanus wondered if the debris was left there to remind the citizens of what they endured. People had short memories. They needed to navigate the rubble, peel off the grubby ration coupons, and witness the Hunger Games to keep the war fresh in their minds. Forgetting could lead to complacency, and then they'd all be back to square one. So that's kind of his motto for all of this. It's why the Hunger Games need to exist.
Yeah. I mean, so he's arguing that the rubble is their version of the Hunger Games, having to walk around a fallen down pillar.
Yeah. That it's a reminder to the survivors.
All right, bud. Definitely a reasonable comparison.
We find out here that Reaping Day happens on July 4th. So it's just going, in case you're wondering.
Just pushing that a little harder there.
And we're going into kind of a reminder of the rules of the Hunger Games. As in the past, the tributes would be dumped into the capital arena. a now dilapidated amphitheater that had been used for sports and entertainment events before the war, along with some weapons to murder one another.
It's a football field.
Yeah, probably. Viewing was encouraged in the capital, but a lot of people avoided it. How to make it more engaging was the challenge. Let's sit around and figure out how to make children murdering each other more fun.
See, this is the thing. You think about it and you're like, whose idea was this? Actually, we know it was Highbottom's idea. Highbottom came up with this shit. Fuck that guy. High as a kite bottom over here.
Like, if I'm sitting here and Snow is looking sympathetic compared to you, you suck so bad. With this in mind, for the first time, the tributes were to be assigned mentors. 24 of the Academy's best and brightest seniors had been tapped for the job. The specifics of what this entailed were still being worked out. There was talk of preparing each tribute for a personal interview, maybe some grooming for the cameras. Everyone agreed that if the Hunger Games were to continue, they needed to evolve into a more meaningful experience. And the pairing of the capital youth with the district tributes had people intrigued.
It's just really, it's such a good commentary on just the commodification of everything and the commercialization of everything.
Right. Yeah, they're like, how do we make
gamification
this
of everything
profitable?
Yeah. I mean, it's
so
not the same thing,
fucked.
but you think about college sports now. They're not killing each other, but like that is now the college is essentially oftentimes an academic institution that exists attached to a money-making football enterprise.
Right. Where the players do not see any of the benefits of that a lot of the time.
I feel like there was a unionization or a lawsuit or some kind of case a few years ago.
When we were in college, there was.
When we were in college,
I
there was
don't
something
remember
where
how that
players got a certain portion of their likeness. They got revenue. I believe.
Well, yeah, because it was ridiculous.
Because it's like, literally fucking them.
Students were living in their cars and shit, and like all these shareholders or whatever were making a fuckload of money. It was ridiculous. Not to mention that a lot of the time, those kids were people of color.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, great. They're making a ton of money. The young people of color are not seeing any of it.
Yeah.
And it's exploitive and gross. Yeah. Everyone still thinks that Coriolanus is rich, so everyone sucks up to him.
Yeah.
And he gets compliments on the shirts. And he tries to make himself sound really impressive because somebody asks where he got it. And he's like, snows have deep closets.
Shut the hell up.
I was trying for respectful yet celebratory.
It's your only shirt and just, ugh.
And
now here's the thing. If I read this and I didn't know the Hunger Games, apart from the killing kids thing, which is kind of impossible to do and apart from, but I digress. Up until I heard about that part, I would be like, oh, this guy's just scrappy and doing his best. And then we get into the killing kids part and I'd be like, never mind, this is fucked.
It is fucked.
But, I appreciate that she is humanizing this character while also letting him just remain party to and complicit in and actively encouraging of the murder of children. She's a very good writer.
Yeah. So good. I love her. And Satyria says, and so it is. What are these cunning buttons? Tesserae? And he says, are they? Well, that explains why they remind me of the maid's bathroom.
Oh, fuck, right.
And everyone chuckles.
Isn't a tessera like a year's worth of food in the districts?
Yeah, this was an impression he fought to sustain. A reminder that he was the rare person who had a maid's bathroom, let alone one tiled with tesserae.
What a jackass.
Tempered with a self-deprecating joke about his shirt.
What a dickhead.
He's like, calculating. He's
I take it all
calculating.
back. Fuck this kid.
And he sees Sejanus.
That's his name, all right. We could have just gone with Sejanus, but here we are.
Sejanus. And he's wearing this like great stylish outfit. The ensemble was stylish, brand new, and smelling of money. War profiteering, to be exact.
Your family owned nukes. Shut the fuck up.
Sejanus' father was a District 2 manufacturer who had sided with the president. And even worse, he named his son Sejanus. He had made such a fortune off munitions that he'd been able to buy his family's way into a life in the capital. The Plinths now enjoyed privileges that the oldest, most powerful families had earned over generations. It was unprecedented that Sejanus, a district-born boy, was a student at the academy, but his father's lavish donation had allowed for much of the school's post-war reconstruction. A capital-born citizen would have expected a building to be renamed for them. Sejanus' father had only requested an education for his son.
Now, I really appreciate how much Snow kind of hates Sejanus and how chill Sejanus is around Snow and how much Sejanus likes Snow.
Sejanus thinks Snow's a friend of his, kind of.
You know what this feels like to me? A little bit, what this reminds me of? Salieri, Mozart.
Yeah.
From Amadeus.
Yeah.
Where to give context for that, if you're not familiar with the play or film Amadeus, it is about Mozart. And it is told from the perspective of Salieri, who in the film is like both a deep admirer of and deeply hates Mozart. And Salieri in the film acts as though he and Mozart are good friends, but is secretly plotting to undermine and like ultimately kill him.
Right.
Which may or may not have any basis in real fact. Apparently they were actually quite good friends in real life. And then Mozart is just like very good at everything and having a good time and also, you know, kind of a socially inept asshole a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But also thinks that Salieri is his close friend. So this did it ring any bells there for you with this?
You know, I didn't think about it, but now that you mention it,
it's very Salieri Mozart. It's very Amadeus.
Uh-oh. That doesn't say good things for Sejanus.
No, it does not.
I'm concerned. I do have maybe something about that on my bingo sheet.
Well, you know who Sejanus was historically? Sejanus was a real dude.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Yeah, hold on.
Was Coriolanus also someone?
Yes,
who was
Coriolanus was also a real person. Oh, I gotta remember Sejanus. He was a soldier who was like somebody's friend. Roman soldier, friend, and confidant of Emperor Tiberius of the Equites? I don't know. What class is this? Second property-based class by birth. Sejanus rose to power as a prefect of the Praetorian Guard. And then he was executed for treason.
I'm concerned
so
for
I
Sejanus.
feel like Snow is going to have Sejanus killed by the end of
Look
this.
into Coriolanus.
Now,
Are we looking for clues?
If anybody says you can't look up actual history, yes, we fucking can.
We can and we will. We just did.
We're
unsupervised.
Gnaeus Marcius Coriolanus was a Roman general in the 5th century BC, and then he was exiled from Rome. Yeah, this doesn't feel like it. There are any parallels. I can't see anything theoretically paralleling here.
Well, I mean,
it was also a Shakespeare
could he
play.
be like kicked out of school?
I guess, but he was a general. He was exiled.
He does say that he wants him kicked out of school, or
That's
that if
true.
he does stuff, he'll get kicked out of school. Right?
He presents himself to the Volscians, then leads them against Rome. And then he agrees to a peace with Rome and is killed by the Volscian allies. So this would work if he, like, defected to 13.
Oh. And then got killed by 13.
And then got killed.
Oh my God, what if?
Yeah.
Like, he defects to... He somehow,
I don't think so.
Well, he somehow, like, does something to get power and then gets killed by 13.
Yeah, but this would be he gets kicked out of school, goes to 13, leads an army against... or leads a rebellion against Panem, and then capitulates back to Panem and is subsequently killed by 13.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I don't think... We're way overdue for ads, I just realized. So let's take a quick break for ads. Welcome back.
For Coriolanus, the Plinths and their kind were a threat to all he held
Great
dear.
name, by the way, Plinth.
Plinth. Then
she's
height good at naming characters. She really is.
Except for what was it? What apple or what about or whatever? What got you from earlier? What
I
not?
liked it.
Fuck off.
I like Fabricia Whatnot.
Whatnot? Come on.
The newly rich climbers in the capital were chipping away at the old order simply by virtue of their presence.
I like how he calls other people climbers when he is at the bottom of the economic social rung ladder right now.
Yeah, but they don't know that. He's from an old family.
He's faking it.
It was particularly vexing because the bulk of the Snow family fortune had also been invested in munitions, but in District 13. Their sprawling complex, blocks and blocks of factories and research facilities had been bombed to dust. District 13 had been nuked, and the entire area still emitted unlivable levels of radiation. The center of the capital's military manufacturing had shifted to District 2 and fallen right into the Plinth's laps. When news of District 13's demise had reached the capital, Coriolanus' grandmother had publicly brushed it off, saying it was fortunate that they had plenty of other assets. But they didn't.
Bullshit.
Sejanus had arrived on the school playground 10 years ago. A shy, sensitive boy, cautiously surveying the other children with a pair of soulful brown eyes, much too large for his strained face. When word had gotten out that he'd come from the districts, Coriolanus' first impulse had been to join his classmates' campaign to make the new kid's life a living hell. On further reflection, he'd ignored him. If the other capital children took this to mean that baiting the district brat was beneath him, Sejanus took it as decency. Neither take was quite accurate, but both reinforced the image of Coriolanus as a class act. So the person you're thinking of who comments on the shirt is this woman called Professor Sickle, who says...
Oh, yeah, okay. So, because Snow is Click's, like, aide de camp, essentially, right? And then Sejanus is Sickle's...
Kind of... Well, I mean, she's mean to Sejanus, though. Because they say that he looks smart. Soteria says that Sejanus looks smart.
Who's Soteria? Click?
Soteria Click, yeah.
Okay, Soteria Click, and then Agrippina Snow?
Agrippina Sickle.
Sorry, Agrippina Sickle, but...
Agrippina Sickle.
Snow has, like, some kind of position with Click, right?
Yeah, he's like her assistant or something, like, and her favorite student.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I think he's like her research assistant or something like that. But Professor Sickle says that Sejanus looks too smart. I told him if I wanted a peacock, I'd call the pet store. They should all be in their uniforms. And then she looks at Coriolanus and says, that's not terrible. Your father's old dress shirt? And he says, thank you for noticing, Professor. I had it redone so as not to suggest I'd seen combat myself. Oh, mess dress shirt. But I wanted him here with me today. Very fitting.
Another parallel between Snow and Katniss. Dead dad.
Yes, that's true. And Gale as well.
Oh, fuck Gale. Why are we talking about him?
You're like, I don't want to talk about fucking Gale. Well, and Coriolanus has 2 dead parents.
He does.
Yeah, I think Katniss bugs him because she reminds him of him.
I think in a lot of ways, yeah.
And maybe Lucy, depending on what happens with Lucy. I'm assuming nothing great. I'm assuming she wins.
Well, yeah, probably. I mean, there's only been one other winner from 12, and it was long enough ago that she's dead. So I think it's pretty likely it's her.
Oh, so yeah, I guess Sejanus is like Sickle's assistant, and like he gets called on day and night to do stuff for her. And Coriolanus is like, yeah, I polish the wine glasses for Click, and they kind of like have a little nice moment. And then Sejanus says, and of course, now that I'm graduating, we're moving closer to the school. Perfect timing as usual. Coriolanus suddenly felt wary. Whereabouts? Somewhere on the Corso.
Right, he thinks he might lose his apartment.
Somewhere on the Corso. A lot of those grand places will be going on the market soon. Owners not being able to afford the taxes or some such, my father said. They don't tax properties in the capital, only in the districts. It's a new law to get more money for rebuilding the city. Coriolanus tried to tamp down the panic rising inside him. A new law, instating a tax on his apartment. For how much? As it was, they barely eked out a living on Tigris's pittance, the tiny military pension his grandmother received for her husband's service to Panem, and his own dependent benefits as the child of a slain war hero, which would cease on graduation. If they couldn't pay the taxes, would they lose the apartment? It was all they had. Selling the place would be of no help. He knew his grandmother had borrowed every cent on it she could. If they sold, there would be next to nothing left. They would have to move to some obscure neighborhood and join the grimy ranks of everyday citizens, without status, without influence, without dignity. The disgrace would kill his grandmother. It would be kinder to toss her out the window of the penthouse. At least that would be quick. So now it's time to assign the tributes.
And he's about to get fucked. But actually,
Dean
he's going to get
Highbottom is such
a good one.
Dick.
He knows also high as shit on Morphling.
Yeah, he's totally out of his mind.
He is doing bad.
Yeah, Livia Cardew. Oh, Livia Cardew gets the District 1 boy. And she's like, yes!
She seems fun.
And Coriolanus gives us all the tea because he says, as if the plum assignment was solely a reflection on her and not her mother running the largest bank in the capital. Coriolanus felt increasing desperation as Dean Highbottom stumbled through the list, assigning each district's boy and girl a mentor. After 10 years, a pattern had emerged. The better-fed, more capital-friendly districts of 1 and 2 produced more victors, with the fishing and farming tributes from 4 and 11 also being contenders. Coriolanus had hoped for either a 1 or a 2, but neither was assigned to him, which was made more insulting when Sejanus scored the District 2 boy.
Yep.
District 4
Which turns out to be a fucking shitty thing for him. He is not happy about that.
I feel like it's on
he knows
purpose.
the dude.
Oh,
yeah.
it was on purpose. The dad maybe made that happen on purpose.
Yeah, but the dad's a fucking idiot because this guy knows Sejanus.
Yeah, the dad did it to be like, see, Sejanus doesn't give a shit about 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah. District 4 passed without mention of his name, and his last real chance for a victor, the District 11 boy, was assigned to Clemencia Dovecote, daughter of the Energy Secretary.
Dovecote I like. That's a good name.
Unlike Livia, Clemencia received news of her good fortune with tact, pushing her sheet of raven hair over her shoulder as she studiously made note of her tribute in her binder. Something was amiss when a Snow, who happened to be one of the Academy's high honor students, had gone unrecognized. Coriolanus was beginning to think they had forgotten him. Perhaps they were giving him some special position, when, to his horror, he heard Dean Highbottom mumble, "And last but not least, District 12 girl. She belongs to Coriolanus Snow."
Wrath.
And that's the end of chapter 1.
Incredible. All right, Al, here we go with chapter 2.
All right.
I'm excited.
I'm thrilled.
The dog is dreaming. He's sitting next to us and he's making snuffly sleepy sounds.
Snuffly sleepy sounds.
Shall we let these notes rip?
Oh yeah.
Cause I know you got to get yours out.
Look.
While you're getting yours out, I'll read mine. I only have 4. Lucy seems fun. Weird that the peacekeepers don't stop the singing. Lighthearted cannibalism. Oh boy. And then I wrote, apple pie with flags, huh? Never heard that before.
It's a distinctly American visual. Chapter 2. Coriolanus, ew. I'm doing it every chapter. I love Lucy already. $10 her selection was a setup that she was prepared for. I think they put her name in on purpose.
Oh, they 100%
They were like, I'm just going to put in
purpose.
Only Lucy.
They absolutely did. It's the same thing as when Snow reads the fucking Catching Fire Quarter Quell thing.
Yeah.
They pull it out, barely open it, and go, Lucy Greybeard.
Yeah. It was bullshit. Ugh. Snow agrees with me. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I hate when I agree with someone I hate. I feel like Snow is instrumental in getting the games to become what they are.
He for sure is.
Mhm.
He's absolutely going to make...
I feel like he becomes like game maker or something.
Probably. That seems like a reasonable...
Assumption?
Not right away.
No.
But I'm sure by the end of the book we're going to see his path to be game maker and other things.
I wish you had done the bingo by now.
Well, I didn't want to do it until we finish these.
I know, but I have thoughts. I have predictions that I don't want to share yet because they're on my bingo. Okay, I have one prediction. It's on my bingo sheet.
Look, you can tell me what they are.
I mean, you know.
It's okay.
I think Snow poisons his first person by the end of this book.
Oh, I don't.
You don't?
No, I 100% disagree with you on that.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited to see.
I bet it's Highbottom. I think he poisons Highbottom by the end of this.
All right.
As his first poison.
Maybe.
You see it?
I
see
could,
it.
but I don't think it's going to happen. Because I don't think he wants to be doing that level of fuckery yet.
Maybe. Yikes. The Capitol ate each other. A different kind of Hunger Games.
Yeah, not good, man.
Yikes.
Very not good.
So this is definitely Sue's being like, look how the evils we inflict on each other warp us all. I feel like the pie is poisoned.
You're really into the poison thing right now.
I am looking for
You're locked in
it.
on poison.
I bet he hates your parents or something like that. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah. I never remember.
Oh,
what my notes are
Highbottom.
about.
Because he has such a weird personal...
Oh, yeah, probably part of it. He probably also heard Snow talking shit.
Well,
like
yeah, that was
find
dumb.
out.
That was probably dumb of him, considering he really needs a scholarship.
Yeah. All right, chapter 2. Let's have a good time meeting Lucy. Allie, this is a chapter where we meet Lucy. This is a chapter where she does the thing. What is the thing she does?
She sings a song.
What is the first thing she does?
Oh, she puts a snake
Puts a fucking
down
snake.
a girl's dress.
Yeah.
And I am on her side.
In the Madge equivalent's dress. Because it's the mayor's daughter. Although this mayor seems like he fucking sucks.
Yeah, I
Whereas
think this guy
Madge-
gets ousted by the end of the book.
Oh, I don't think we're going to see him again. I don't think we're
You
going to
don't
see any
think?
of these. No, I don't think. We're with Snow. Does Snow give a shit about 12?
I don't know.
No, Snow doesn't give a shit about anything.
Well, but
except
Lucy
herself.
gives a shit about 12.
Yeah, but we're not in Lucy's. We're not. I mean, here's the other thing I think we haven't
I think
mentioned at all
Snow
yet.
poisons the mayor. Snow poisons everyone.
Snow poisons all of the other
Poison.
tributes. Here's the other thing that I realize we haven't talked about. There is a major structural difference between this book and the Hunger Games trilogy.
There is?
Yes.
What is it?
Massive difference in the mode of storytelling.
How so?
This book is third person limited.
Oh.
The Hunger Games are first person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why she did that.
Probably to keep us from having to be in Snow's head.
Good of her.
Because, like, if Snow wrote me a book, I wouldn't want to read it because I hate that guy.
Yeah, that was probably smart.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't realize that until we started talking about it this episode.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's not first person.
Oh, yeah.
It's all Coriolanus.
Oh, good choice.
I agree. All right, chapter 2. He's pissed as hell. He's pissed as shit. He is fucking mad as hell, and he's not going to take it anymore. Just kidding. He is going to take it, because what else is he going to do? Throw a cabbage at the man? Come on now. The District 12 girl? Could there be a bigger slap in the face? District 12, the smallest district, the joke district, with its stunted, joint-swollen kids that always died in the first 5 minutes, and not only that, but the girl? Not that a girl couldn't win. Fuck off. But he does have a point that it is, at this point, the games are primarily what? Dexterity, agility, survival skills. Punch him in the dick.
Yeah, punch him in the
dick.
face.
Yeah.
Punch the hardest. Punch a lot.
So he chats with Sejanus.
Ooh, I wonder if in these Hunger Games, because I feel like Lucy's going to be really popular, if they introduce for the first time, like, giving them advantages.
Oh, that's very possible.
I bet because Lucy's popular.
But do you think Snow is going to be able to wheedle that in to the? Because right now there's none of that, right? Actually, I think it's possible.
Like, they're not sure what the mentors are for yet, and so it's like
right.
He could be like, "What if we negotiated for advantages for our player?"
I bet that's true. I bet that is what's
and then
gonna pan
because
out.
Lucy's super popular,
she's going to get a shitload of gifts.
Yeah, and he could be like, "Okay, like pay a certain amount of money, and then maybe he can pocket some of it."
So he turns to talk to Sejanus, and Sejanus looks super sad. And he goes, "What is it? Aren't you happy? District 2, the boy. That's the pick of the litter." And Sejanus goes, "You forget, I'm part of that litter." I like this bit. 10 years in the capital and the privileged life it provided had been wasted on Sejanus. He still thought of himself as a district citizen. Sentimental nonsense. I'm sure my father requested it. He's
like
always trying to
Sejanus.
get my mind right. Dude, his dad's name is Strabo Plinth.
Sounds like an ass.
So, more of the anthem. We're not doing that.
Imagine looking at a baby and naming him Sejanus. You're an asshole.
So then we get to Lucy's reaping, and we've
Right.
already kind of talked about this a little bit, right? We're pretty sure that this was staged.
Yeah, I think they
That they for
that
sure.
her name was the only name.
Yeah. Mayor Lip, a squat, freckled man, he dug his hand deeply in the bag and pulled out a strip of paper and barely glanced at it. "The District 12 girl tribute is Lucy Gray." Blah, blah. He
Perfect
said
name.
into a mic.
Right, perfect voice.
Thank you. Great prose here. Gray, hungry faces and gray, shapeless clothing. Lucy Gray-Baird stood upright in a dress made of a rainbow of ruffles, now raggedy, but once fancy. She did not make straight for the stage, but began to weave through the girls off to her right. It happened quickly. The dip of her hand into the ruffles at her hip, the wriggle of bright green transported from her pocket and deposited down the collar of a smirking redhead's blouse, the rustle of her skirt as she moved on. focus stayed on the victim, her smirk changing to an expression of horror, her shrieks as she fell to the ground, pawing at her clothes, the shouts of the mayor.
I don't know you, but whatever you did, you deserved it.
Oh, you know who this is.
Who is she?
It's the mayor's daughter.
Oh, no, I know. But I don't know, like, what she did to deserve this, but I know she deserved it.
I feel like Lucy and this girl had, like, some kind of
Beef.
And like the girl was like, I'm going to get you killed. I'm going to get you put in the Hunger Games.
I also feel like part of the reason why they had beef is probably because Lucy's an outsider. Like, she's not from there. She said that she was part of this, like, group of performers that got fucking, like,
she was like a traveling person.
Yeah, she was a traveling person.
I totally forgot about that.
So she's not from there. So I'm assuming that they were like, put her name in, who gives a fuck?
See, I think that's another really interesting thing in her choosing to make this book about Snow and Lucy. She's like Katniss, but she's not Katniss, and she's even more not Katniss because she doesn't even consider herself a district member. Right.
She's a traveling person, and historically, they've been treated so great.
Yeah, by anybody
everywhere.
And everybody.
And they would just like come perform at the different districts, and then all of a sudden they got boxed into District 12 and were not allowed to leave during the war.
And how does the mayor respond to this?
Oh, he's like, oh my God, justice must be done for my child. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure your kid sucks. I'm on Lucy's side.
Is that all he does? Is he yells justice?
Oh, and he hits her.
Yeah. First, his daughter pisses her pants, which I don't know her, but it sounds like fuck both of these people.
It sounds like fuck her and her piss pants.
Snow worries that Lucy Gray might be unwell, and this is actually wow. They drop it right here. There was something vaguely familiar but disturbing about her. The rows of raspberry pink, royal blue, and daffodil yellow daffodil yellow ruffles. She's like a circus performer, one of the girls remarked.
I think she is like a circus performer.
That was it. Coriolanus reached back into his memory to the circuses of his early childhood. Jugglers and acrobats, clowns and dancing girls in puffy dresses twirling around while his brain grew giddy with spun sugar.
So she has dexterity.
She has high dexterity, yes.
She's got high dexterity. That's good. And it seems like she was probably well-fed-ish for parts of her life. So
yes.
She probably isn't as like gangly, stunted as the others.
Although it must have sucked being a traveling circus performer during a huge civil war.
Yeah.
So anyway, the mayor punches her in the fucking face and they drag him.
Dick.
They drag him.
Dick.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
You're a fucking dick. You and your piss pants daughter.
Trash god
Mr.
over
Piss
here.
Pants and Piss Pants Jr.
And they drag him into the Justice Building, and Coriolanus is like, oh, she is not well mentally. She is not a sane person.
I'm sorry,
for sure.
Is anybody at this point a mentally well person?
Her eyes were shadowed blue and lined with black, her cheeks rouged, and her lips stained a somewhat greasy red. Here in the capital, it would have been bold. In District 12, it felt immoderate.
I love immoderate women.
And it looks like she's going to cry. Do you remember this?
And he's like, don't
do it. Don't you do
cry.
it. Don't you do it.
Don't let them see how weak you are.
Sejanus goes, I bet they rigged it. Her name wasn't on that slip.
I agree, Sejanus.
And then like this kid starts singing in the crowd. I forgot she doesn't start this.
Right. Some other kid does to like try to comfort her.
Yeah. And then she fully pops off.
Yeah. She's like, all right, that's my song though.
Yeah.
What a bop. Let's go.
A young voice starts, you can't take my past, you can't take my history. And then an older boy sings, you could take my pa, but his name's a mystery. And then she just grabs the mic and starts belting.
Yeah, and I feel like the peacekeepers at this point like are not disciplined enough to really know what to do here.
I also wonder if some of them aren't, local.
Maybe.
Because she just fully starts singing. The whole thing, she knew she was going to get reaped, and she just fully starts singing. And do we want to talk about this song? It's a good song. The refrain is nothing you can take from me was ever worth keeping.
Loaded considering the Hunger Games.
Yes. And she finishes, I'll just read the last verse. No, sir, nothing you can take from me is worth dirt. Take it because I'd give it free. It won't hurt. Nothing you can take from me was ever worth keeping. And also this song has a better rhyme scheme. And then she blows a kiss.
Because I feel like the Capitol musicians suck ass.
Well, if they're anything like the people who come up with slogans for District 13, trash. People of Panem, we fight, we die, we live and burn for victory and surrendering. I don't even remember, so bad.
It was really bad.
But you know what I didn't forget?
What?
If we burn, you burn with us. Or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah,
okay, I did forget it a little bit, but I'm close.
That was still good.
So the peacekeepers from who dragged the mayor off come back, and they're like, "Oh, get her off the fucking stage right now."
Mm-hmm.
Notably interesting that they didn't cut feeds.
Yeah, because they don't know what they're doing still. It's 10 years in.
But these other peacekeepers grab her, and as they're dragging her away, she managed to
10
blow...
years into Survivor, were there even immunity idols at this point?
That was Heroes versus Villains.
What number was that?
20.
It used to be a yearly thing, I think.
No.
No?
No, because they're on season 45 right now. It started in 2000.
But they had just introduced immunity idols recently.
Immunity idols showed up in like season 13.
Yeah.
Right? It was the one before Cook Islands.
Okay. Right.
I should remember that.
I can't remember. Still, that's pretty far in.
She blows a kiss and goes, "My friends call me Lucy Gray. I hope you will too."
I like her.
And she waves as if to raucous applause, not dead silence.
She's got a little PETA in her too.
She does a little bit.
Because PETA plays the game.
Yeah. What is the name of the building Snow is in? We forgot to talk about this.
Oh, what is it called?
Havensby Hall.
Oh, Plutarch Havensby.
Plutarch Havensby, yeah.
Oh, he comes from money.
He comes from money.
He comes from money.
So that's kind of cool.
Because they said anybody who would like donate would ask for a building
to be named after them.
Oh,
yeah.
My papa has a Ferrari.
And Snow is like, what the fuck? Was this good? Was this bad? Do we want to talk more about any of this? The fact that she's almost certainly a plant. Not a plant, was rigged. The dancing, the singing.
I feel like they are mean about the traveling people, and they're like, "You're not part of our district, so we're going to sacrifice."
Yeah, fuck
Lucy.
you. We don't care, and also you're a jerk.
I'm
anyway,
the mayor, and
I'm
the mayor, and my daughter doesn't get along with this girl
because my daughter doesn't like her. Yeah,
and this girl causes trouble.
Yeah, you got to wonder if this wasn't the kind of thing that might happen.
Well, I feel like until it was formalized, right? Because like in the Hunger Games, you like went up in the line and you got your fingerprint pricked, and like they could tell it was you, and they had every child in there.
They sent somebody from the Capitol to pull the slips. Yeah, Effie pulls the slips in the book in the main trilogy. This is the mayor doing it. All of this makes me wonder.
Right. All of this makes me wonder: is this Snow doing this on Lucy's behalf? Like, he's like, that was bullshit. We're not going to do that. Everybody has to have skin in the game. They can't just all, like, decide, here's an expendable kid.
I don't think Snow is going to be concerned about Lucy past what she can do for him. Because I think that as much as Snow is the protagonist of this book, and I say this in my notes for the next chapter, he is purely acting out of self-interest. And this is why I appreciate this book. He's sympathetic in that he's down on his luck, but everything else about him is vile and detestable.
Well, definitely. But like, I think that the events of this book might have inspired different things, different policy that they have down the line.
Sure, I agree with that. But I think if I had to guess, the choice to switch to
a more formalized
system is because like any district at this point you could penalize the people who the leadership doesn't like by shipping their kids off. Yeah, or they could, if the mayor pulled his daughter's name, he would just not...
He'd just read a different
name. Honestly, it's kind of funny to me that the mayor is the one who pulled it in the first place. Or am I completely misremembering this?
I think he was the one that pulled it.
Yeah, Mayor Lip.
He sucks.
A squat, freckled man in a hopelessly outdated suit. And they're in burlap sacks. The names are coming out of burlap sacks.
Not the fancy glass bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's got to be some way in which he was like, I mean, that's crap, that she got picked just because she was the least liked.
It's bullshit.
if it's going to be a real, no, but from Snow's perspective, he'd be like, if it's going to be a real punishment, then all of them have to have a risk there.
Yeah.
Right? It can't just be which kid do we like the least.
Yeah. And then the mayor comes back and he grabs like a wad of slips out and he drops all but one of them. And he goes, "The District 12 boy tribute is Jessup Diggs." Do you remember anything about Jessup? He doesn't come up a ton after this, as I recall.
He and Lucy shake hands.
Yeah. A boy with a fringe of black hair plastered down on his prominent forehead. As District 12 tributes went, he was a fine specimen, bigger than average and strong-looking. His griminess suggested he was already employed in the mines. A half-hearted attempt at washing had revealed a relatively clean oval in the middle of his face, but it was ringed with black, and coal dust caked his nails.
Well, you try being clean when you are covered in coal dust all the time.
As he neared the mayor, Lucy Gray stepped forward and extended her hand. The boy hesitated, then reached out and shook.
Okay, this makes me wonder if this is the first time that has happened.
I assume so.
Because they make Katniss and Peeta shake hands in the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing at that point. And so I'm wondering if, like, again, Lucy just is, like, influencing everything.
Lucy Gray crossed in front of him, switched her right hand for her left, and they were standing side by side, holding hands, when she made a deep curtsy, pulling the boy into a bow. A smattering of applause and a lone woo came from the District 12 crowd before the peacekeepers closed in, and the reaping broadcast cut to District 8. So, yeah, he is like, oh, fuck, never mind, this is awesome. I am thrilled.
Yeah, he's absolutely over the moon that he got her.
She was a gift. He knew it, and he must treat her as such, but how best to exploit her show-stopping entrance? How to wrangle some success from a dress, a snake, a song? The tributes would be given precious little time with the audience before the games began. How could he get the audience to invest in her, and by extension him, in just an interview? He half-registered the other tributes, mostly pitiful creatures, and took note of the stronger ones. So Janus got a towering fellow from District 2.
To use Survivor terms, he basically was like, I just got Sari. Like, she seems like she should be an early boot, but she's actually, like, got the brains for this.
Yeah. And Livia's District 1 boy looked like he could be a contender as well. Coriolanus' girl seemed fairly healthy, but her slight build was more suited to dancing than hand-to-hand combat.
But see, dexterity is good, though.
Yeah, because he bet he could run. He bet she could run fast enough, though, and that was important. And then they eat.
Yeah, being able to run fast. And, like, all the strength in the world is whatever when you can't really
get
move.
to him, yeah. Now, I just think this paragraph is important, so let me read this real quick. The endless dance, because the food comes out and he's hungry.
Mm-hmm.
The endless dance with hunger had defined his life. Not the very early years before the war, but every day since had been a battle, a negotiation, a game. How was it best to stave off hunger? Eat all the food at one meal? Spread it through the day in dribs and drabs? Wolf it down? Or chew every morsel to liquid? It was all just a mind game to distract himself from the fact that it was never enough. No one would ever let him have enough.
It's tough, too, when you're like a growing boy.
You
they
need that.
Eat everything.
Yeah. There's a lot of discussion about this, about cannibalism and about lack of food.
He and Tigress saw some, like, dead maid.
Yeah, and then somebody took her leg off.
And, like, hacked her leg off, yeah.
It makes me wonder if that's why they were called the Hunger Games. Is like what the capital suffered most, perhaps, was hunger.
Uh-huh.
So they're calling it the Hunger Games to get back at them, maybe?
Maybe.
We were hungry and now you will starve.
Now we're going to make you suffer.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. Seems like possibly.
How did he live through the war? Do you remember this?
Well, they sold a bunch of shit, right?
Yeah, but they also had, they went to this guy.
Oh, the grandma. Actually,
yeah.
Grandma came in
clutch.
Grandma came in clutch. She was smart as fuck. She went to these people to get some food, right? And at that point, they were rationing. So they're like, you can't take a ton of food. But she, like, under the table with this guy, managed to get a fuckload of beans.
Lima beans. Dried lima beans. She goes to get condensed milk from this guy. And he said he just got a big shipment of dried beans in. And he goes, they'll keep for years. I plan on setting aside 20 or so for personal use. Coriolanus's grandmother had laughed. How ghastly! No, my dear. Ghastly is what happens without them. He didn't elaborate, but the grandmam stopped laughing. Then she looked at the crates. Yeah. She shot a look at Coriolanus, and her hand clenched his for a second. It seemed involuntary, almost a spasm.
Oh, she does love him.
Then she looked at the crates and appeared to be figuring something in her head. How many can you spare? She asked the club owner. And they buy 30 crates of lima beans.
And that's how they get through the war.
Yeah.
Damn. You know, he shits on her, but she saved their lives.
She did, and it seems like she kind of has lost a lot of what she had going on.
Lost her
since
marbles
then,
a little.
Which is very unfortunate, but there you go.
I mean, I can't imagine living in a place that's getting like habitually destroyed.
No.
That does something to a person, I think.
Yep.
That fucking sucks. So, and not only that, but you have 2 kids that you're responsible for on top of that you have to make sure don't starve to death. Like, grandma came in clutch.
So they have dinner. There's this whole buffet dinner thing, and Highbottom shows up.
Well, and then not only that, but she loses her entire family fortune and her son.
Yeah.
And her daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
Like, that woman has suffered.
Yeah. Although she that anthem still sucks.
That anthem still sucks, though, girly. We can do better.
They give food and apple pie with a Panem flag, a paper Panem flag on it.
So
which is
America
a super
coded.
duper America coded thing.
So America coded.
As American as apple pie in the 4th of July, as they like to say. And Highbottom comes up and he goes, "Oh, take a big one. Growing boy like you can handle it." And Snow is like, "Hey, boss. Yeah, man. You're the best." Yes.
This is Highbottom?
Pleasures are never hard to accommodate. No one would know better than I. I suppose not, sir. You suppose not. So they gab for a while. I mean, what comes out of this?
Highbottom hates Snow.
Highbottom fucking hates him.
And is very cutting towards Snow.
And he also knows that Snow is broke.
He knows Snow is broke.
He's pieced it together.
And it's probable that he gave Snow the worst tribute as a
on
snub.
Purpose, because he hates him. And Snow thinks it's the nickname, but I'm kind of on your side that it's got to have something to do with Snow's family.
I think it's got to be Snow's family. I think it's deeper than that. Because you know how they're like, not to bring up Harry Potter, # trans lives matter. But like, Snape hated Harry on like a personal level, like a weird amount to hate a kid. Like, kids said, I was a teacher once, kids said shit all the time.
Yeah, they just do that.
And you're like, they're kids. Kids say stupid stuff. They're learning how to be people.
So we're really raising the stakes in chapter 2.
It's weird for an adult to have a rivalry with a child.
We're really raising the stakes for Snow in chapter 2, I feel like. Because
it doesn't mean I didn't, but no, I'm just kidding.
Because he might lose his apartment in chapter 1, and now Highbottom is like, "Hey, fuckface, what are you going to do if you don't get a tuition prize?" And Snow's like, "Well, I'll pay the tuition." He's like, "Will you, poor boy?"
I'm so lucky. Snow's so lucky it's not me in this situation. I would not. I have no poker face. I literally, he would be like, "Will you, poor boy?" And I'd be like,
Without an education, what doors would be open to him? He tried to imagine his future in some low-level city position doing what? Managing the coal distribution to the districts? Cleaning cages of genetic freaks in the mutations lab? Collecting taxes from Sejanus Plinth in his palatial apartment on the Corso while he lived in some rat hole 50 blocks out? That's if he were lucky. Capital jobs were hard to come by, and he would be a penniless academy graduate no more. How was he to live? Borrow? Being in debt in the capital was historically a ticket to being a peacekeeper, and that came with a 20-year commitment to who knew where. They'd ship him off to some horrid backwater district where the people were hardly better than animals. Now there it is again. There's that good old capital prejudice right there.
There it is.
Piece of shit, we hate you. That day, which had held such promise, came crashing down around him. First, the threat of losing his apartment, then the lowliest tribute assignment, who on further reflection was definitely crazy, and now the revelation that Dean Highbottom detested him enough to kill his prize chances.
Don't be so negative. A couple seconds ago, you were all about her.
And condemn him to a life in the districts. Everyone knew what happened if you went to the districts. You were written off, forgotten. In the eyes of the capital, you were basically dead. And that's the end of chapter 2. All right, here's my thinking.
Okay.
We're probably an hour and a half in after Truncate Silence takes out all the pauses.
Mm-hmm.
Let's cut this here.
Okay.
I'll make a bingo card. We can come back, do chapters 3, 4, and 5 next week, and discuss our predictions.
Okay.
That work for you?
Does that feel good to you?
I'm happy with it.
Any initial thoughts?
I like this.
I like this a lot.
I like this quite a lot. I like Lucy. Snow's fun to be with. I appreciate that I'm going back and forth between wanting him to succeed and hating his guts.
Yeah. She's walking that tightrope really well.
Yeah.
Where I'm like enjoying reading about him, but I'm not enjoying him.
Yeah. It's a good balance. It's what about you? Any other thoughts?
I think she had to give him a sad backstory.
Well, yeah.
So that we would enjoy reading about him at all.
He has to be remotely rootable.
Remotely sympathetic.
Because if he were just rich and the worst, nobody, as you often like to say in television, nobody likes to see hot people doing well.
No one likes to see hot people doing well.
That's not fun. That's boring.
No, you must be a mess.
That's why I don't like very much. 3/4 of that movie is hot people doing well.
That is a spicy take.
Look. Okay. Apparently today is the day where I shit on the podcast, which I've never done before. I understand why people like it. Nothing happens. It's just the guy being good at stuff and being a jackass, and then he has a crisis of faith an hour and 40 minutes into the movie, and that's when it gets interesting. And then it's interesting for 8 minutes, and then he resolves the crisis of faith and remains a jackass. He learns nothing.
He really doesn't.
He's just a douchebag at the beginning of the movie, and he's a douchebag at the end of the movie.
Yes, but he's a douchebag who flies planes.
Oh, good for them.
But he flies planes.
I understand why people like it.
Gus plane.
I just don't.
Man plane.
I've never been into that sort of thing.
Plane man. Fighter of the ground man. Which is a reference to nothing.
Yep.
Also, we talked about
Oh, fuck. Ah, shit. Well, I was being shitty about it.
Well, yeah, that's true. It was not exactly an endorsement of that movie.
All right, well, I'll cut the title and people can piece together. I'll just bleep out the title.
Perfect.
Everyone's going to know what I'm talking about anyway.
Yeah, everyone will know what you're talking about.
All right, so, any other thoughts, Sally?
Wait, this would be fun, because we have the any other thoughts, right? Anything else, right?
Oh, yeah.
But historically, the person who is
reading it for the first time comes up with that.
Okay. You know that improv thing where you try to say something at the same... This would be fun. Okay. This would be fun and stupid.
All right.
This would be fun and stupid.
We're going to try to say something at the same time with no coordination at all.
With no coordination at all.
No forward planning at all.
Okay, ready?
Yes. 3, 2, 1.
What are people doing? What? What are people doing is our last thought.
Yes.
All right, that's it, everybody.
Bye.
Stupid.